Hi there, you might wonder what the wealth formula has to do with green energy or solar power or whatever. I think it's important because if you understand where wealth comes from, then you can better understand how to achieve it. And you can also see that we really don't need fossil fuels to achieve it. We don't even need money in our current, let's say, economical sense. The formula is very simple. It says wealth is a product of skills, power and materials. Of course, if you define, let's say you have to define these terms a little bit. Wealth is, in my opinion, defined by having access to the things that you enjoy. So you enjoy, I don't know, riding a bicycle or a motorbike. You have to have somebody that makes that motorbike. Let's say the stuff that you use, the goods and services that you enjoy, need to be produced by somebody. And if that happens and you have access to those things, then you will be wealthy. You consider yourself wealthy. The process of making goods and services, in my opinion, always involve three factors, and the names of these factors are a little bit can change a little bit. So we have skills, power and materials. Skills, for instance, could also mean information or control. What skills in its essence means is some kind of cybernetic process, which is the correct name, a goal-oriented process, a targeted process, so that you achieve a certain goal. It always involves sensing and feedback. So it always involves seeing where you are and telling yourself, or if it's a system, sensing where it is, what the parameters are, and correcting itself towards a goal. So you have some kind of goal. The first cybernetic system was an aircraft defense system, and it would of course try to hit a certain spot in the sky. It can make calculations to do that, help the shooter, controller of the whole device, point at let's say the crosshairs at an airplane, translate that, and it would probably correct itself. It should correct itself so that it learns. That is no longer something that humans only do. Machine learning is now about 20 years old. You can have all kinds of automatic systems, for instance pick and place systems in factories, drilling, etc., that monitor their own performance and then correct it. So skills are in the brains of people. They used to be in the brains of people. They can be in machines, computers, but also in tools. The power, second factor, is simply the ability to move, the ability to manipulate, the ability to change anything. So let's say in the pre-industrial era there was lots of manual labor and of course animal labor that would provide the power. So you would have one horsepower horse and one manpower man. Right now we have electrical engines, internal combustion engines, all kinds of other types of movers, piezoelectric, that can be controlled with electricity. Power could also say energy, so simply energy, electrical energy, solar energy, wind energy can do things. But of course that energy without skills would mean nothing. So if you have a drill, it doesn't really mean, it's not a very useful tool if you cannot direct it and see where it goes. So that's power, it's a general term. And the third one is materials. Of course you have to have stuff that you use, that you start with, that you maybe reuse, recycle. But of course if you make products, then they're physical, so you need materials and they have to come from somewhere. And this combination of these three factors is producing our wealth at the moment. So the skills are now, for a large part, for the essential stuff that we need, are automated processes. They're no longer human. And of course in a disproportional way. So it's very easy to have if you have a bread baking machine or a bread baking oven process, then that whole process includes knowledge about and sensing for temperature and moving things around. All these skills are now integrated in these automated systems. Humans don't really have to do anything anymore. Most of the power that we now have is provided by fossil fuels, and that's simply a replaceable thing. You can also provide it using wind or using solar or using wave energy. That really doesn't affect the wealth that you can generate it. In fact, if you use solar power, you can generate about 5,900 times more wealth in principle. Of course, you have to have people to enjoy it, than we have right now. So basically we are now on a marginal diet of a power source that is dwindling and also destroying our environment. Simply, because this power is not only, let's say, used to generate wealth, but also used to suppress, looking for alternatives, making it hard. And that's so power really grabs directly into this system, and that's why big oil is ultimately still for a large part in control, until we find a number of people that understand that big oil could be replaced by big wind or big solar, and we would be much better off. Money, surprisingly, as you can see, does not come into this whole system. And why? Well, because money is let's say, a product of a larger population. So you have to become antisocial towards each other and have to want to exchange goods and services with money. So not simply help and share and divide them. So it's a result of trade, and it's a result of capture. So it's a result of commoditizing and monetizing things that were not monetized before. If you want a nice example of how that process works, you could watch the old movie Catch-22, where of course at first the Italian women are simply easy, but in the end of the film they're all in big prostitution houses run by M&M Enterprises, which is let's say the commercial enterprise that pops up in the war machine and takes over and makes, that we now see, the military industrial complex. It makes the wars completely ridiculous. But so understanding the economy in this way, I think, is much more useful than listening to economists. Because what economists will do is they'll say, okay, the power we use is fossil fuel, because with fossil fuel you have the ability to suddenly generate a lot of power. Because you can simply take 1,000 barrels of oil and burn them. That's not possible with renewables, because the sun shines every day. Let's say it is dosed. Every day you get a certain amount of power from the sun, and as we are basically barely accessing that power, we don't really know how to generate credit from solar energy. It's not possible. You cannot use the sun that will be available in 100 years' time. We don't have any knowledge for the concept. But with oil, fossil fuels, that is the case. So you cannot have credit in basically financial credit if you would not have an energy source that you can simply, that basically behaves like a giant battery, a giant accumulator, a reserve, with which you can suddenly make 1 million tennis shoes or suddenly make 1 million motorbikes. And you could not do that before. That's basically that makes, because that is such an intrinsic part of economics, this sudden availability and store of energy. It has shaped economics. Economics is basically the utilization or the maximization of the utilization of fossil fuels and no other power source. Let's say you have gas, oil, coal, clathrate gas, shale gas. All these sources can be made abundant suddenly, and then used in a machine. So you have an automated machine that incorporates the skills, you have the power from fossil fuels, and then you just, like a lawnmower, you can use any material and make any other product out of it. It might not even generate wealth. See, that's how our economy, how economists think, how they think about wealth is a completely skewed way. And it is more distorted even because the power is provided through money. So credit is created by banks, that's given to the companies. The companies go to the energy trade, buy oil, gas, electricity, etc. in order to create the wealth that we need. And the banks, they will only have a cut or make money or see profit if they drive this use of power, which is basically realized through the use of their money. So banks are intrinsically linked to driving and maximizing the use of fossil fuel. Right now we see a economic, so-called economic crisis, which is not an economic crisis but a crisis of economics, and in which the banking system is not driving it as much as they were, and that is probably because the abundance is less, that there is basically a fundamental shortage of fossil fuels. You won't know that because the money is not created, so there's no demand. The demand side is shortened, is basically reduced. Anyway, to go to renewables, if we simply have power available and we have automated systems and we have recycled or new materials, we can have in almost every region of the world wealth in any kind, well, basically tailored to the people that are living in that region. There's really no reason why that wouldn't be the case. So let's say the prospects for a planet based on renewables is extremely positive, if it was not for not responding to climate change, so allowing our natural environment, which supports our lives, to deteriorate to a point that it might collapse completely. And we may go, let's say, with all the other species that are going extinct, humans may go extinct as well. And let's say you can see that happening if you have an area that suddenly doesn't have any rain anymore and people leave it. So basically people have gone extinct in that area. Anyway, this is the formula of wealth. I would say that's this is one of the parts of the what I call the robo-economic vision, which is that you have robots that can help us restore the ecosystem and of course give us wealth in a future which is based completely on renewable energy. And that robo-economic situation is different from what we have right now, because instead of let's say providing the power to the companies to produce our goods and services, the companies will have the power to generate whatever they want. So we'll have to do something else to basically control that production, but at the same time production of tennis shoes or whatever it is, if it's not based on fossil fuels, will be much less attractive for anybody to try, because people are much more likely to use whatever power is available, which will be abundant eventually, to do something that they like. To, let's say, if it's not, so there's no drive in the future which is not based on fossil fuels to simply generate stuff, crap, so plastic items that are hyped. That just won't happen again anymore, because, well, there's no bank that is interested in making a margin, there's no oil company that is interested in selling its oil, and there's no producer that is interested in getting a little bit of money out of the biggest nonsense. We'll have renewable energy, and credit based on renewable energy will be only possible if you save it, if you save the energy in the form of, for instance, liquid natural gas, or you make some kind of other type of storable energy source of it, and then you might be able to provide credit as a bank. But you know, that won't be the case for the foreseeable future. So that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for listening.